80s, you had pension funds, but they decided to give their CEOs a benefit on top of the pension. It was called 401k. That was to shelter their income. That way they could keep the CEOs because it was very competitive. But when all the jobs were shipped overseas, they no longer could keep pension funds. Too expensive. So they shifted all their employees to a 401k, duping you thinking it was a good deal. But what they did is they charged hidden fees, which amount to about $250 billion a day, that they gave to lobbyists to go to Washington to make sure that this 401k would never be transparent. Here's what came of it.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
That's right. So join my gang, philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. I'm here to help you. I'm tired, and you should be tired, of listening to these financial shows like CNBC where they're all geniuses and they're always wrong. Look, stop worrying about the price to book and the price to sales and all the stuff they tell you think you need to know. You don't need to know any of that. Anybody can make money in the stock market using charts. It's about money flow. Join my gang, philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You ever notice they always tell you to buy, but they never tell you to sell? They never tell you to sell. Well, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you understand. When you buy a stock, and if all you do is buy, and you never sell short to make money where they're going down, you have to be so good. That means you got to buy the companies that are always going up. Nobody's that good. Nobody could possibly be that good. You got to make money just like you make money when you buy a stock. You got to make money when a stock goes down. That's how you even the playing field. That's how professionals make money. They make money going up and make money going down. But they don't tell you that. They just want you to try to make money going up. They don't want you to make money going down because they make that money on you. Join my gang, Phil's Gang. Learn how to short stocks at philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, many people left the stock market after the crash, and here's why.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
And that's still going on. That's your planner. They don't represent you. They represent themselves, your money manager. But you have to make a change. You can't change them. You make the change. Join my gang, philsgang.com, so that we can take care of you. philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, my name is Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know we're going to have not only a stock market crash in 2016, but a housing crash in 2016. Don't you like how they tell us the housing's in recovery and the market's in recovery and the economy's in recovery? When it's not. It's in a bubble. Take housing. They loan to a Wall Street firm called Blackstone. $7 billion. They buy 41,000 houses to go rent. Are you nuts? When they can't collect the rents anymore, those houses are going on the market and going to depress the real estate business by 30 or 40%. It's the same thing with stocks. They loan people money 600% more than they ever did before to buy stocks. That's all debt. And when the market goes down, they're going to have to dump those stocks to pay back that debt. And boy, will the market drop. Join my gang. Learn how to short. philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande of philsgang.com. You know, everybody, the hot stocks Apple or Google, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. What people don't understand is every stock is the same. If the institutions buy it, it goes up. If they don't, it goes down. It doesn't matter the name. That's why we use charts to identify money in, money out. Join my gang, philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
We're on our best 2-year job creation streak in 20 years.
What are you, nuts? Who'd believe that? Let me tell you the truth. First of all, the 292,000 jobs we got in December 2015, and they told us the unemployment rate is 5%. Not true. You can't trust these people on Wall Street. You can't trust the press. What they don't count is, in December, for example, the 615,000 discouraged workers. A discouraged worker is a person unemployed, gave up looking for work, but this administration does not count them as unemployed when calculating the 5% unemployment rate. Instead, they classify the discouraged as marginally attached to the labor force, but they're not considered part of the labor force or part of the unemployment. That's why you can't trust what they tell you. If we back into 625,000, the real unemployment rate is 12%, not 5%. That's why you got to join my gang, where you get the truth and where we use charts. Join the gang, philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Be sure to watch the Phil's Gang Show with Phil Grande, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on various devices like smartphones, tablets, your computer, and more. Get free access to the Phil's Gang Show right in your hands at home or on the go. Simply go to philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com and click on the Listen Live link. And we'll see you on the charts.
The stocks discussed on Phil's Gang are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell. If considering acting on information presented, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice. Get ready for the radio show that tells you what Wall Street doesn't want you to know.
Oh, I'm a money magnet. Money coming to me. Money sets me free. I'm a money magnet. Money's coming to me.
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. With your host, Phil Grande.
I think it was a great report for the market, at least for the time being, because as you're right, it raised some of the concern about the slowdown that we saw in the fourth quarter.
What are you, nuts? A lifting report. Welcome back to Phil's Gang, coast to coast, around the country, off the Wall Street Radio Network. Hope you had a great weekend. God, we got a lot to do today. I'm going to talk a little bit about Romney and his businesses and how he did more destruction than Trump could ever think of doing. It's incredible. What a fraud this guy is. He used the bankruptcy laws so well. He destroyed 77 companies, destroyed 183,000 jobs. Just incredible. When I go over this with you, you'll see what a phony he is. But also, this is interesting. They come out with the jobs report all week, and you hear, oh, how wonderful the jobs are. Look at this. The economy's doing better. Stocks are going up now because of the jobs report. What, are you nuts? When I'm following the stocks on my chart, I can tell when institutional buyers are coming in and adding to their position, when they're accumulating. If you are an institution, if, let's say, I'm J.P. Morgan, and I represent the Fire and Police of Chicago, and their pension fund, and I'm going to go and buy more of Ford. I can look on my charts and tell, hey, there's an accumulation. The institutions are accumulating more Ford. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add to it, because if the institutions are buying more Ford, the stock is going to go up, because that's what makes stocks go up, is the accumulation. We're not seeing any of that. All we're seeing is the stock market going up on what we call short covering rally. People who shorted the stock like we did, going back in May, and then we switched our position. We took our profits. To take your profits, you got to buy the stock back. That moves the stock up. There is no growth in these stocks. Absolutely no growth in retail sales. This number that came, what is she talking about? What is she? We had no growth in retail sales. 55,000 jobs were low-paying retail nothing jobs. There was no growth in real consumer income. In fact, hourly wages dropped. We lost 16,000 high-paying manufacturing jobs to gain 40,000 waitress bartender jobs. Let me repeat. We got rid of 16,000 high-paying full-time jobs, replaced them with 40,000 waitress and bartender jobs. And she says, gee, this report is good? 86,000, they said, new jobs. 86,000 new jobs in education, health, services, and social assistance. Wait a minute. We know they lie about the jobs number. We know the BLS uses what they call the birth death metric system, where they birth jobs when they want them and they dead them when they don't want them. It's called birth death metric system. They always push the stocks. They always push the number of new jobs higher than they really are. So they came out and said 86,000 new jobs in education, health service, and social assistance. I said, wait a minute, you're busted, man. How could you be telling us that education jobs went up in February? Who hires teachers in February? You're busted. Maybe health services, you should have pushed them to health service, but push them to say we got more educated in February? Are you nuts? This is being a little sloppy. They're claiming 18,000 new teacher jobs in February. I'd like to know what school districts are hiring teachers in February. It's just ridiculous. Listen to what she said again.
I think it was a great report for the market.
Great report? Most of the jobs are all part-time jobs. Over 44% were low-wage category jobs.
I think it was a great report for the market, at least for the time being, because as you're right, it raised some of the concern about the slowdown that we saw in the fourth quarter.
Now, watch what they say about corporate.
And I think probably most importantly for stock prices is that the worst of the corporate earnings pretty much appear to be behind us now. If you look at S&P 500 earnings on a year-over-year basis, this quarter that we're just coming out of represents what we feel is a pretty solid trough. So if you think about what drives stock prices, really at its most basic level, stock prices are driven by a combination of profits and interest rates. And the profit picture is now getting better.
Profits getting better? What are you, nuts? Even if corporate profits were getting better, we don't see any of the money going into research and development. We don't see any money being put into IT spending. We don't see any money being put into rolling stock, trucks and equipment. We don't see any money going into adding on to factories or new equipment, or all the money by outsourcing jobs overseas. All the money that's coming back, those profits coming back, even if they're good profits, are going into the pocket of CEOs and to the shareholders. What are you talking about? That money's not going into the companies. It's amazing how they want to take parking space in our heads to make us believe things are better than they are. Ridiculous. Let's talk about gold. We've had a tremendous run in our metal stocks. I told you back in December 2015, I said we got to start buying gold. We got to start buying metal stocks. Very important we do that. Back December 3rd. We did the same thing in February, bought some copper, bought U.S. steel, bought some gold. I said, we got to start buying these. Why? Because, see, gold will go up when there's a weak dollar, when the dollar goes down. Always remember, it's very simple. People get confused. Well, when does gold rise? It's real simple. When you get a weak dollar. And when you get a weak dollar, well, that's simple too. Just keep in your mind what it means. A weak dollar. You get a weak dollar when the economy is doing poorly. Like in February, we saw no more overtime. We saw hourly wages drop. And most of the jobs created in February were in a very lowest of wage category, causing the dollar to drop. Remember Friday? And our metals soared. Now, let's talk about QE. They're talking about another QE coming. Well, what does that do to gold? Oh, makes gold go up. Why? Because QE is a sign of a weak economy. You don't do quantitative easing if you got a strong economy. You do quantitative easing when it's a weak economy. The Fed prints money. The last time, QE3, they printed $4 trillion. $4 trillion. The dollar dropped and metals went higher. What do they do with the $4 trillion? They go in, the Federal Reserve buys all the 10-year treasuries you can possibly buy. So they drive the yield down. On a 10-year treasury, they drive that yield down, the interest rate down, to make it so unattractive for the two largest U.S. treasury buyers, Saudis and China, to force them into the stock market, to push the stock market up. But what good is that? Because again, it's all artificial. When the market goes up, because the Fed's buying all the 10-year treasuries to make the 10-year yield unattractive, so to push the Saudis and the Chinese into the stock market, sure, stocks go up, but they're not sustainable. But I think gold, we've had a tremendous run on gold, tremendous run on silver, copper. We were just, and next is going to be the refiners. And we'll talk about those when we get back. Past the hour, subscribe to my gang, philsgang.com.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
Hi, my
You're not a regular listener to Phil's Gang? What, are you nuts? Listen to Phil Grande and check out philsgang.com. Now, here's Phil.
And welcome back to Phil's Gang. Okay, remember, you can subscribe to my gang, philsgang.com. Just go to my site, philsgang.com, or you can call right now, where we have Steve waiting for your call, Denise, 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-GANG. Now, you heard me talking about gold and metals, how well we did. We were in front of those before anyone else. Listen to this. This happened today. Listen to this recommendation by somebody on CNBC this Friday.
You could have a short squeeze going on here in gold. There's a lot of gold out there, a lot of gold and derivatives contracts that are essentially short the physical. So you could have that going on here. I think you still, in the long run, buy gold and silver.
A little late. Let's take a look at my subscribers, what they've been doing. We identified, and this is a beautiful thing about being a subscriber. This is just one of the benefits. We told our subscribers back in December 3rd, to start buying gold. AU is the symbol, AU. It's now up 113%. 113%. Then in February, we said, let's buy copper. Now remember, this guy just comes on Friday, talks about buying gold. We already started to buy back in December 2015. Here he's telling you to buy it in March of 2016. Copper, we're now up 39%. 39% on copper. Another metal stock, GDX, which is an exchange-traded fund, up 40%. U.S. Steel, up 62%. And these were bought, copper, U.S. Steel, those two were bought in February. GDX and AU were bought back in December. So by using charts, we can identify the flow of money. That's what you care about. You do not care about all the jibber jabber. You don't care about the fundamentals. Now, for a person who is busy, one of the services we provide at 1:15 every day, like clockwork, is our working investor program. What does that mean? For people just like you who are very busy, they don't have time to do anything with stocks, who are just disgusted with stocks, we have put together the Spiders. It's a ETF. You got 500 of the best stocks in the world in a basket. Trades like an individual stock. It has more advantages than just tax advantages over a mutual fund. It has all kinds of advantages over a mutual fund. First advantage is cost. You have hardly any cost. You get killed with mutual funds. You get killed. A 2% fee, they wipe out half of all your retirement. 2% fee. So that's just one program we have. One program for $49.95. On top of that, every morning at 7:30 in the morning, I start with my coffee talk. I bring you up to date. What's going on in the world? What's going on with the economy? Where I think the market's going. Why I think it's going there. What's happening. Get you ready for the day. 9:30, the bell opens. From 9:30 to 11, I'm right with you, live. You come in, you get on the site, there I am, and I'm going through all of our stocks. I'm teaching you the stocks, and I take certain stocks, like our gold, and say, okay, we're going to buy this stock here. Let me show you how. Here's how you get in. This is why we're buying. You're learning why you're buying. It's just not one of these, like you go buy a list. What good's a list? I mean, people pay a lot of money for stock lists. What good is a list? I'll say to you, here's why we're buying gold now. Here's the reason, so you understand why. And then put it on a chart and show you on a chart how you can identify when the big guys, the institutions, are buying. And then you email me, and I answer your question. I do this from 9:30 to 11. Then I get on at 1:15, and I start doing an update at 1:15. But between 11:30 and 1:15, if I see one of our stocks do something a little different, or I think there's going to be an opportunity. For example, we have Goldman Sachs, Intel, IBM, Caterpillar, and Schlumberger. That's a portfolio of 5 stocks we watch all the time. If I see there's going to be a big move in Caterpillar, I'll get on and I'll give you an alert and tell you, okay, let's watch Caterpillar. Here's why. Here's what I think is going to happen. Then after the radio show, again, right before I go on the radio show, I do another alert. Around 2:45, bring you up to date. What's going on? What's happened during the day? What stocks we should be watching, our portfolio, what stocks we should be taking profits. Then after the radio show, I do a whole market review around 4 o'clock. All of this is archived. And what I'm suggesting for a person who's very, very busy and it just don't have the time, why don't you, out of all that, just take the one segment, take Working Investor Group. Now, we're starting in the Working Investor Group. We've already done the goals, but here's what we're starting now, is we're focusing on the refiners. Now, you've heard me say this now for a couple of weeks. MRO is already up 44%. Remember I told you, I said, join the gang. We're going to be buying MRO. I said, join the gang. In the next couple of days, we're going to be buying MRO. I showed the class why there was a buy signal, why money was coming into that sector, into that refiner. And now it's up. MRO is up 44%. TSO, another refiner, up 11%. MPC, another refiner, up 9%. So it's not just an educational system. I mean, I'm holding your hand. You have private coaching all day long. Nobody does that for $49.95. And all I ask of you, please donate to St. Jude. That's simple. So check it out. Let's go to our stock corner.
Stock Corner is brought to you by the Phil's Gang video channel. Go to philsgang.com. Click on the video channel graphic and check out Phil's free videos on the market, economy, and current events.
And again, to subscribe, you can call right now, 877-600-GANG, or go to my website. Remember, everything is archived. We're going to be, again, continuing to look at refiners. We think right now MPC is one of the better ones. Join, and you can follow along with us on the refiners. We'll be right back after this break.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
Hi.
Are you ready to make profits in the stock market? Why not check out philsgang.com or give us a call, 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil.
And they say, gosh, I didn't know that Donald Trump gave a bunch of money to Jimmy Carter and to Hillary Clinton and to Harry Reid and to John Kerry.
That's Romney. Unbelievable. What a phony. We're going to talk about him in a minute. But first, let's talk about gold again. Everybody's talking about QE. The QE is coming. And it is going to come because I can tell you, I can see it. We're going to have QE because the market is ready to collapse. Because we don't have the earnings. We don't have, as I say, the money that's coming in from Europe. I mean, from all the profits of these companies doing business overseas, all the profits from outsourcing, all the money they're saving on outsourcing, all that money's coming back. But it's coming back to the CEOs, coming back to the shareholders, but they're not putting the money back into the economy. They're not growing. See, you have what they call the multiple effect. If I buy a piece of equipment, I'm going to put 2 people to work. But when I order that equipment, there's probably another 4 people building that piece of equipment. And there's another probably 3 or 4 people who makes the material for that equipment. It goes all the way down the line. It's called the multiple effect. This country has no more multiple effect. That's the problem. The money is coming into these companies. They can brag about their profits, but it's not doing us any good. Not doing us any good. Gold. You got to have gold. You got to have gold mining stocks. I'd rather have the mining stocks because the mining stocks are companies. There's dividends. They're real companies. There's earnings. They're real companies. Gold. Look what is sitting here looking at gold. But QE, quantitative easing, is a sign that there's a weak economy. And the Fed, as I told you before, prints money. The purpose of printing the money, last time QE3, $4 trillion. They print $4 trillion, so they go out and buy all the 10-year treasuries, the Federal Reserve, to drop the interest rates down to make those yields so unattractive that forces the Saudis and the Chinese and whoever else buy our treasuries out of treasuries into the stock market and push the stock markets way up. But they're not sustainable. They're creating a bubble. That's what's going on. It's a bubble creation. So, yes, when they announce QE, gold is going to go up. Anytime the economy does worse, gold is going to come up. The only reason that you've seen gold go down and you're so disgusted about gold for so long, except for this last rally we started in December, which has done great, is because remember what Yellen did. She kept lying. She kept telling people the economy is getting better and therefore we're going to raise interest rates. And people fell for that. And people from Europe ran over here thinking, oh, she's going to raise rates? That means the economy is really getting better. Oh, the economy over here in Europe really is bad. So I'm going to take my money, go to the United States. I'm going to get rid of my euros. I'm going to buy the dollar. And so when they buy the dollar, and because they want to buy stocks, because they're saying, hey, we're going to raise rates. So if you raise rates, that means the economy's got to be good. They wouldn't raise rates in the United States if the economy wasn't good. So they dump their euros, they buy dollars, dollar goes up, the euro goes up, and gold goes down. And she was doing that for a year. And she never raised rates until finally December of last year. And now she raised them at a very bad time. So this market is going to collapse. We've had this bubble building. It's been building for almost 8 years now. And I want you in position to enjoy the ride all the way down by shorting. Now, you talk about fake markets. How about Romney? I want to talk about Romney for a moment. Listen to this again.
And they say, gosh, I didn't know that Donald Trump gave a bunch of money to Jimmy Carter and to Hillary Clinton and to Harry Reid and to John Kerry.
What a hypocrite. Romney gave money to these same people. More. Listen to this.
They didn't realize that a lot of small people have been crushed by Donald Trump's rise to become a very wealthy man.
Nobody crushed more small people than Bain Company that Romney started. What are you talking about? He crushed more jobs. It's unbelievable.
His bankruptcies have crushed small businesses.
Right? How dare Romney say something like that? His bankruptcies crushed small businesses. But let me tell you, there's a difference between Trump's bankruptcies. Trump went out and tried to do something, and it didn't work out, so he files bankruptcy. There's a lot of people that have an idea in business, and it doesn't work, and they have to file bankruptcy. Romney made a career out of filing bankruptcy. He destroyed jobs. Nobody filed more bankruptcies and destroyed more jobs than Romney. He was no job creator. He's no politician. Look, when he lost that race, an easy race that he should have won, he ran a disastrous campaign. And now we're stuck with Obama for 4 more years. Romney became worth $250 million by fleecing and bankrupting 77 companies on purpose. That's what he does. He fleeced and bankrupted 77 companies by extracted $600 million from them through Bain. And Romney left in his wake lost jobs, bankrupt companies, more than anyone on Wall Street. Romney was no businessman. He was a master financial speculator who bought, sold, flipped, stripped businesses and then bankrupted them. In fact, one business he bought, he only owned it for 10 months, then he put it into bankruptcy. He walked out with $36 million in his pocket. He maintains he's a businessman, Romney. Always putting America before himself. Are you kidding? What, through massive offshoring and outsourcing? I never knew that was an American thing to do. Romney loves to wrap himself in the flag and call him a job creator when he's a job destroyer. Asked 118,543 people who lost their jobs because of Romney putting their company in bankruptcy when it was a perfectly good company when he takes it over. Listen to what this guy does, how he does it. He does leverage buyouts. What's that mean? Romney fleeced $600 million from companies and individuals. How did he do it? Well, what he does, he goes and he spots a company, identifies a company doing very, very well. Very successful company with a lot of cash. He goes to the people who have most of the stock to control the company. He said, look, your stock is worth $50. How about if I give you $150? Would you give me control? Absolutely. Why wouldn't the people? They're walking out with $150 a share instead of $50. They hand the control over to Romney. But he says, wait a minute now, but what I want you to do before you hand me control, I want you to go to the bank and borrow $100 million to put into the company before you hand it over to me. So they go and they borrow $100 million, or let's say $50 million, and they put it into the company. Well, who's on that $50 million? Who's responsible? The company, not Romney. And then what Romney does, he then starts pulling out fees. He pulls out dividends. He starts raping the company, pulling all that cash out. He did that with Toys R Us, GS Technology, American Pen and Paper, Data International, on and on and on. So many companies can't keep track of them. All these LPOs. LBOs are the worst thing in the world. He takes perfectly fine company and destroys them. Now, why would the banks loan a company that kind of money? Well, because the banks have a deal with Romney. He says to the bank, you loan this company, I'm taking over $50 million, so I can take all the money and put it in my pocket and bankrupt it. But here's what I'm going to do for you. The $50 million you loan the company, I'm going to sell that note to investors around the world. They did the same thing with housing, remember? They took the housing notes, the mortgages, sliced and diced them, and spread them out to investors around the world. That's exactly what Romney did for these banks. So these banks were more than happy to give Romney money for companies they knew he was going to bankrupt, because they were not on the hook, because Romney would sell the debt to investors around the world who lost money. He fleeced people out of $600 million, he and his company. Are you kidding? And he calls, Trump never got up in the morning and said, I'm going to go and buy a company and fleece them. Sure, like any entrepreneur, he has failures, but he didn't do what this gangster did and then wrap himself in the American flag, call himself a job creator, a wealth creator. What are you, nuts? He's the worst of the worst. And now he's the establishment, and he's trying to tell us who we should vote for? What are you, nuts? Join my gang. Subscribe to my gang right now. Don't miss the oil stocks.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG. Are you ready to make profits in the stock market? Why not check out philsgang.com or give us a call, 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil.
And you're worried about Donald Trump's businesses? You, Mitt, were a corporate raider who threw people out of work and sent jobs out of our country.
And that's Judge Jeannie. I'm glad she recognized what Romney is. Romney's a phony. He destroyed businesses on purpose. He went in and would take your pension fund. Once the company started to go down, he'd cut a deal with everybody. He said, look, you're going into bankruptcy. You're going to lose it all. So I'll give you 25% of it, and he keeps the rest. He's the worst of the worst. But look, no matter who's in office, you and I got to make sure that we're set for our retirement. And that is a job. I know it's a terrible job. It's a job we don't want to think about, especially when we're in our 30s, when we're thinking about, getting a snowmobile, or thinking about getting a wave runner or a truck with spinners to go backwards when you're standing still, trying to fool people that the truck's going back. All those neat things. It's tough. Then when you hit 50, 55, 58, you realize you should have never bought those spinners. You should have never bought those big hubcaps. You should have never bought that pickup to tie your bulldog to the bumper, your pit bull, to scare people off. Be cool. It's a job. Retirement is a job. It's something you have to do your whole life. The first day you get the business, you got to start thinking about, you get to your first job, you got to start thinking about retirement. That's what I don't like about our school system. Our school system should be teaching kids the minute they start school about retirement. They should keep engaging them about retirement, what you have to do. Show them how to balance a checking account. Never mind Latin. That's fine if you're going to be a doctor or a pharmacist. But teach kids how to survive. You got to start in the schools, and they don't do that. We have a country that's in real trouble, and here's the problem. Guys like Romney and Buffett and Soros, these elitists, the mainstream, the establishment, Democrats, Republicans, they got it made. They run everything. They don't want anything to be disturbed. So what I want you to do is to follow me with the refiners. I just proved to you. And you don't have to believe it when you come in and you're a gang member and you say, oh, that wasn't the truth. You told me you guys made 100% on AU or 39% on FCX or 40% on GDX. You'll see we did. Now I'm telling you, we got to catch the refiners. They're going to move next. And catch the basket of 500 stocks, the S&P 500, for you people that don't have time. If that's the only service that you use them on, we have so many services, it's incredible, all day long. Just that one service will protect you. All I ask is you donate to St. Jude, that's all. And by the way, I have a wonderful book I started talking about last week, which is Walter's Way, which half of the revenues are going to go to Vera and Walter Share Family Foundation and to St. Jude. I really hope you buy this book. It's a great book. It's an award-winning memoir about this country's 92-year-old, a 92-year-old good friend of mine. He's an iconic entrepreneur, Walter Share. It will inspire you, whether you're an entrepreneur, non-entrepreneur, businessman, not businessman. It's an incredible book. His relationship with MacArthur, his relationship with so many people, just unbelievable. Rick Hover. I mean, he came from the Queens. He was just an average guy, and what he built was an empire. And he's such an incredible man. This book chronicles his life, and what the book chronicles is courage, integrity, which we don't have much today. When you see a guy like Romney, for heaven's sakes, we don't have enough Walter Shears anymore. Please pick this book up. Tomorrow I'm going to go to our 5th chapter on the book, but please go to my site, philsgang.com, and it's right there on the site. Just order it, and half of that revenue goes to his foundation, the Vera and Walter Share Family Foundation, and to St. Jude. waltersway.org. You can get the book that way too. It's an incredible book. Please check it out. You know, when you take Romney and you follow him, and let's put it this way, Romney and his fellow elitists, I should say, they're the owners of our Federal Reserve, the owners of our country. Elitists like Romney and Buffett and Soros, who think themselves they're the Republican establishment. They're the captains of industry. They're captains of Wall Street. They're the titan. They're the backbone of the Republican Party. They in their mind, think they have to get richer. It's an entitlement for them to get richer. And how do they get richer? By owning Congress, by making the laws that benefit them. That's what really causes income inequality. They control everything. Now, they've invested millions into the Republican Party. They bought power. So in order to get lower taxes, wider tax loopholes, bigger subsidies, bigger bailouts, less regulation for their business, not mine, not a small business, for their large business, they get tax cuts, they get all kinds of, they get less regulations. I don't as a small businessman. My regulations go up, my taxes go up. But for those guys, their big industries, they get the tax breaks, they get the loopholes. They make sure that Congress increases regulations on smaller industries like mine, so that I can't compete with some company. It's terrible. Take the pharmaceutical companies. They now got lengthier patents that allow them to raise prices on 128 most used drugs. Think about that. They're so wealthy, these guys. Romney, he'll go in and take a pharmaceutical company, bankrupt the company, take the pensions, put the money in his pocket. Unbelievable. Or if they leave, or these pharmaceutical companies now, they got all their patents extended, so now they can raise their prices on the 128 most used drugs. Are you kidding me? Look what they did with the new TPP, like our NAFTA, allowing guys like Romney to outsource more jobs abroad, to reduce wages, to put more profits in their pocket. And for guys like Romney now, the TPP will make it easier for them to go in and buy a company and bankrupt it and to strip it. We're going to lose more jobs. See, they're so scared of a guy like Trump because he's not part of the establishment. He's going to go and he's going to ruin the club. See, he doesn't. They don't want him as part of the club because he doesn't need them. So this is where we are today. I'm not telling you to vote for Trump or vote for them. You decide who you want to vote for. All I can tell you what the environment that's out there. And right now, the only way I can help you is through the stock market, through the many services that I have. And one of the best services I have is what we call our PT2, the working investor segment. We have so many services, but the working investment segment, try that. Start there. So you have to do hardly nothing, and just start with the S&P 500 stocks, and then follow me on my refiners. You'll like it, believe me. You know, these guys just make me nuts. These elitists, they just make me nuts. They buy the judges through Congress. They engage in insider trading. Then they're guaranteed if they get caught, they're not going to be prosecuted. Oh yeah. Even Congress, they can use inside information to trade with, and they get caught, they don't get prosecuted. That's how these elitists get so wealthy. They go and they buy Congress. That's the whole idea. But you know what? They're so smart, they're stupid. Because the result of buying Congress and making the rules always in their favor, you know what it's doing now? It's getting our wages stagnant. They're so greedy. They're cutting wages. They're screwing our workers, who are consumers, which they fail to remember that. They're screwing our workers, the elitists. And these workers are our consumers. They're screwing them out of a good day's pay. They just want to give an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. They want to live within their means. They want to pay their bills on time. That's all they want. And these guys screw them. Unbelievable. Look. Join my gang. Subscribe now. philsgang.com. Call 877-600-GANG. 877-600-GANG. Go to my website, Walter's Way. Don't forget this book. And remember, proceeds are being split. between the Barrett and Walter Scheer Foundation and St. Jude. WaltersWay.org. It's another way you can order the book. Incredible book. See you on the charts.
You have been listening to Phil's Gang with your host, Phil Grande, on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Remember to visit Phil's website at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or call the office, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
It's up to